yeah, we're going to talk about the NFC East. Um, yeah, so the Cowboys ended up winning it, and the streak continues where they haven't had a repeat champion. So the Eagles obviously won it last year, and it looked like they were going to win it again this year, and then they just flat out collapsed because they knew, yeah, we can't have the same champion of the division. No, but I don't even know what to say. But yeah, the Cowboys, I mean, listen, they did what they were supposed to do. They beat the Commanders. They really beat up on the Commanders. They ended up winning 38-10, and that game actually was close at one point. The Commanders actually were winning 10-7. And what does that remind you of? Oh yeah, Thanksgiving. Because Thanksgiving was the same thing. Commanders kept it close, and then the Cowboys just pulled away. They dominated the rest of the way. Dak Prescott had 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. They ran the ball for over 130 yards. Tony Pollard had 70, which, again, he had a rushing touchdown. CeeDee Lamb continues to have, a monster season. Finishes the regular season off with 1,700 yards receiving and 12 touchdowns. He had 2 more touchdowns yesterday, 98 yards receiving. But yeah, I mean, the Cowboys did what they were supposed to do. They improved to 12-5. They're the 2 seed. And the Eagles, I mean, from start to finish, that game against the Giants was a mess. Giants were always winning the game. The Eagles didn't score until the third quarter. Got shut out in the first half. Mason Crosby kicked a field goal. Saquon Barkley had a couple of rushing touchdowns. Darius Slayton had another touchdown. Tyrod Taylor went 23 of 32, 297 yards, 1 touchdown and an interception. Barkley only had 46 yards on the ground, but he had 2 touchdowns. He did have that big 46-yard reception in the game. Darius Slayton had 5 for 62 and a touchdown. Wan'Dale Robinson, who has had a good year, 5 receptions, 85 yards. He was their leading receiver. And the Giants got the win, 27-10. The Eagles took their starters out. Jalen Hurts, injured his finger in the game. He threw an interception in the game. Marcus Mariota played the rest of the way. A.J. Brown actually got hurt in this game too. And that was a turnover, off a turnover. He fumbled, and he got hurt on the play. So I don't know what so yeah, he suffered a knee injury, and they were already missing Devontae Smith. So this is not good going into next week when they have to play the Bucs. But I mean, this collapse that the Eagles have had is just it's unbelievable. I can't believe that they've collapsed this badly. I mean, you had your final 3 games, the Giants twice and the Cardinals, and you lost 2 of those 3 games. I'm trying to see if I could find an update on A.J. Brown because, yeah, I mean, he couldn't get it up. Trying to see if I can get something here so at least we know like what his status could be. So yeah, it says likely minor. And also talks about Hurts with the finger injury. So if it's minor, then he's going to be out there next week. But again, like you were already without Devontae Smith. It's it was not a good performance by the Eagles, and they gave up early because again the Commanders actually were up against the Cowboys, and if you remember last year, the Commanders beat the Cowboys in Washington, so it looked like maybe this could happen again. No, well, not even close. Cowboys again ended up blowing them out. So yeah, I mean the Eagles they gave up, and I mean listen, you had your players. Some of your big players getting hurt. Hurts with the finger, A.J. Brown the knee, but they said I just read likely minor. So, so they'll be out there next week. But even so, I mean the defense is horrible. It is so bad. I mean they're letting the Giants just impose their will against them. I mean Tyrod Taylor is slinging it all over the place, and it's unbelievable what's happened to this team. It's not the same team, and they made the change of, the defensive coordinator, now Matt Patricia taking over. The defense is even worse. I mean, you've lost to two of the worst teams in the NFL that are picking in the top 5. The Cardinals and the Giants. Now, both offenses have their playmakers, but you're the better team. And, I mean, listen, they didn't play their starters the whole game yesterday. I mean, yeah, you're getting blown out 24-0 at the half. I don't know what to expect with the playoffs. This could be one. They could be one and done. Now, they're playing Tampa, who only scored 9 points against the Panthers yesterday. And, Baker Mayfield's banged up himself. Again, shout out to the Bucs. It was tough, but they got it done. They got it done. They're in the playoffs. I will be rooting for them next week. Did get a Mike Evans jersey for Christmas, so I'll be wearing that next week for the game. Listen. As long as Dallas and Philly get eliminated, I'll be happy. But we do have some good games next week. But obviously we'll get into that later in the show. But with this Bucs-Eagles matchup, I don't know what to expect. They played earlier in the season, and the Eagles won by 2 scores. But now the Eagles, I don't know what is going on. And I know Jason Kelsey on his podcast is going to say that he still believes in the and listen, I get it. You still believe in the players, you still believe in the coaches, but what else are you supposed to say? But I mean, the way this team is trending, they're going to be one and done, or they could squeak by the Bucs. They could definitely win and get embarrassed in the second round, whether it's against the 49ers or it's against the Cowboys, depending on what happens next weekend. Because, I mean, they could definitely still beat the Bucs. The Bucs have their issues, of course. I mean, the division was pretty weak this year. But I don't know. Who knows? It's if they end up going one and done, there should be changes already. But listen, I'm not an Eagles fan, so I can't really speak from their perspective. I like me as an outsider, I only can see what I see, and it's just, I think the bigger problem is the defense. That's really the bigger of the two. Now the offense isn't doing what it did last year, but it was still good this year. I mean, they were, they had all these comebacks, and Hurts was playing well, but he was, turnovers are still a problem. But the defense really has it's fallen off a cliff. The secondary is not the same as it was last year. They're not getting as many sacks. It's just, they're broken right now, and everybody goes back to on social media seeing it. They're going back to the 49ers game. They got blown out, and they have not been the same since. They were down 10 against the Chiefs. They were down 10 against the Bills. They came back in those games and they won them. The only game they lost at that point was against the Jets. And if Hurts doesn't throw that pick, they probably win that game. So, yeah, it has been a collapse for the ages. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I don't know. But there definitely is going to be changes, you would think. But, yeah. And all these injuries are happening at the wrong time. Now on offense, it's not good. It's not good. So this is going to make this game against Tampa very interesting, because these are two different teams now. Baker Mayfield was looking like one of the he was playing really well, obviously against the Saints last week, not so much. And then this week, I mean, they won 9-0 thanks to Chase McLaughlin kicking 3 field goals. And the Panthers left points on the board yesterday, off the board yesterday. They had a touchdown and they fumbled into the end zone. and the Bucs picked it up. They got the turnover, and then you had the running back Blackshear. He ran it in, and it got called back. So the Panthers could have won that game. The Bucs are fortunate. But now, like I said, Baker Mayfield's banged up. So, we got to keep an eye on. I mean, he's going to play, obviously. But, yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. That is going to be an interesting game. And listen, if the Eagles are one and done, I know people are kind of looking at Sirianni and saying he's got to go. And it's crazy because, you make the playoffs your first 2 seasons, and now 3 seasons, and now they're like, and you were in the Super Bowl last year, and now you want them gone. But I mean, having the collapse that they're having, like, there needs to be some accountability there. So, I mean, right now when you look at the NFC, I mean, the 2 best teams are Dallas and San Francisco. Those are the 2 best teams. Once Dallas played Philly both times, and Philly started to struggle, yeah, Dallas is the better team of the 2. Should have been saying that, when Dallas barely lost to Philly earlier in the year. But it's because Philly kept winning, and we're like, yeah, it's Philly and San Francisco. Then Philly played San Francisco, and we're like, yeah, it's San Francisco, and it's nobody else. And then Philly has been losing. They lose to Dallas. It's just, and now you lose to the Cardinals, who are a last place team, and you lost to the Giants, and you almost lost to the Giants twice. So, yeah, Eagles aren't. These are 2 teams right now, Eagles and Dallas, heading into the playoffs. Different vibes. Dallas, you should be confident. The Eagles, I don't know where that confidence is. They are in a free fall, and yeah, they may beat Tampa, but that's probably all they're doing because they are not a good team right now. So before we go into our second break of the show, I just want to remind you guys once again to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. And as always, this is displayed on the ticker on the bottom of the show segment down below. So, when we come back from our second break of the show, we will talk about last night's game between the Bills and the Dolphins. We'll recap that. Bills win the AFC East, and the Dolphins will be heading to Arrowhead next weekend. So we'll talk about that when we come back from our second break of the show. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.